Today, I am going to take apart my NES. When I first got this NES, I've already taken it apart once, and I've worked on it. I bought a 72-pin connector from GameXChange. It was a Yobo brand. It was $12.99. Let's just say I have been less than happy with this 72-pin connector, and I bought one on eBay. I only have one NES, so I'm not sure at this point if it something to do with my system or if the Yobo brand was bad, just defective. But $12.99 is a lot for just the 72-pin connector. I've seen it a lot cheaper than that on other websites that are supposedly a better chip. So I do believe I overpaid for it, but at the same time, I wanted it then and there. I didn't want to wait for it to come in the mail. So I was like, I can pay an extra $5. It's supposed to be a good quality part, and I'm ready to put it in tonight. As you're seeing in the video, I know you're all wondering, why are you pulling out a Pokemon Yellow out of an NES? There's no such thing as Pokemon. The NES stopped making games around '94. Pokemon Yellow did not come out until 1998. How is this possible? Well, this is actually a homebrew game I saw online, and I couldn't help myself. I really wanted to play this. I ordered this game online. It took about a month and a half to show up. I literally started dancing when it showed up. Like, it's a homebrew Pokemon game for NES, and the graphics are amazing. And I know it has its flaws. It's not perfect, but it is a really cool game to have in your collection. Now, I lost all of my video games, starting in 2018 when everything went wrong. So I'm starting my collection over from scratch. I only have right now 5 games total. So you're going to see in the future my collection slowly, very, very slowly start building back up. I want to try to have that life back that I lost. It's just going to take a long time to rebuild everything. I'm in high spirits. I don't want to go be a downer right now. I do want to show everybody me installing the new 72-pin connector from eBay and taking out the GameXChange one. And you can see, well, both the chips look exactly the same, to be honest. I didn't actually see a difference. But this one does play better. I'm not sure why. I don't know if I got a bad one. If you've experienced this, you can let me know. I'm kind of stumped. But I am glad I paid the $12 on eBay for this one. The NES lockout chip was basically a handshake from your cartridge to your system to let the system know that you're playing a licensed game. What I've done here is I have basically removed the pin from my lockout chip that does the handshake. The reason why I did this is because every game you put in there, you get that blinking, flashing light of doom. Now, from what I have heard, though, the only bad thing about this is it's not a good idea to actually play the unlicensed games on this NES. The first thing I look for is to make sure the chip that we're touching is in fact the 3193A chip. You have to be very careful. I actually used just like a very, very tiny straight screwdriver, and you count from the left side, you count 4 pins, and you just very carefully pull that pin out of the chip and just make it to where the pin and the chip don't actually touch anymore, and that totally bypasses that handshake and it stops the flashing light of doom. As you can see, taking apart your NES is fairly easy. Most of these screws are all the same except for 2. You have the 2 screws that go in your game cartridge tray. They're not the very back screw, but they are basically the middle. You've got 6 screws total just in that game cartridge tray. There's 2 longer ones that go towards the back, and technically I'd call that in the middle, okay? They're the second to the last, and they're a little longer than the rest of the screws in your Nintendo. Now, when you put your cartridge tray back together, do not over tighten those screws. You need to leave those screws kind of loose on your cartridge tray, because what will happen is when you'll get the Nintendo all the way back together and it'll come on and everything, but when you go to push the game down on that cartridge tray, when you push it down into place, it will not lock, and the springs will be so tight that it won't lock in there. So what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to push the game down like you're supposed to, and you're going to have to take the NES all the way back apart to the game tray and then loosen those screws up. Put the NES all back together, and then try it again. Push that game back down and make sure that it actually locks in place properly. So if you do this on your own and you haven't done this before, just remember that those screws on your game cartridge tray cannot be too tight. I hope you enjoyed watching me on this adventure. By the way, I am not, as you can tell, I am not used to trying to run a camera and fix something. So that's something that's a new experience for me that I'm going to be working on and improving on. I know I need improvement, but this is one of the first times I've taken a Nintendo apart and tried to camera myself as I do it. So there's all kinds of room for improvement there. But the most important part is I'm having fun doing it. So hope you enjoyed watching me rebuild my NES. And if you're wondering how good it went, you're going to have to wait till next week, and I'll do some NES videos. Probably do some videos with Pokemon Yellow. So see you next week.